Welcome back to Short Movie Channel. Our movie today begins with a special meeting between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of an Asian country. After they finish talking, the Prime Minister orders his personal bodyguard to escort the US President to his car. The bodyguard does as instructed and watches as the President walks away. Suddenly, gunshots ring out. The bodyguard tries to enter, but the door is locked. So, he rushes into the building through the back entrance and sprints up the stairs. When he arrives, he discovers that the Prime Minister has been shot. He also sees a group of rebels gathered there. In an act of desperation, he grabs a knife from the table in front of him to defend himself. Realizing he has no way to escape, he takes his own life. Now we rewind time by 17 hours, before all of this happened. We are introduced to a man named Jack, who is traveling on a plane with his wife and 2 daughters. While on the flight, his wife and daughter strike up a conversation with another passenger named Hammond. At one point, the little girl drops her stuffed bear near Hammond. After landing, Jack realizes that the company he was supposed to start working for, the reason he traveled to this country, didn't send a car to pick up him and his family. So, they decide to take a taxi. But just before they do, Hammond stops them and warns that taxi drivers might overcharge them. Instead, he offers them a ride to their new apartment. He also introduces them to a taxi driver named Kenny Rogers. As they drive through the city, Jack notices a heavy police presence but doesn't think much of it. When they arrive at the apartment building, Jack sees banners welcoming him and other new employees on behalf of Cardiff Corporation. After settling in, he realizes the TV isn't working. So, he calls the reception desk to complain, but soon finds that the phone isn't working either. He decides to go downstairs to report the issue. There, he is told that the entire country's systems are down, not just the hotels. Jack is puzzled and asks if the company has contacted them, but the receptionists say no. Later that night, Jack wakes up alone in bed. When he searches for his wife, he finds her crying in the bathroom. She tells him she doesn't like this country and regrets moving so far away from home. Jack apologizes and leaves her alone to process her emotions. The next morning, Jack heads back to reception and asks for a newspaper. The receptionist tells him they don't receive newspapers in this area but suggests a nearby kiosk where he might find one. Jack follows the directions and arrives at the kiosk, but due to the language barrier, he only manages to find a single English-language newspaper from 3 days ago. As he walks back, he stops to admire the street decorations. Just then, he notices 2 large groups gathering on opposite sides. One side consists of armed police officers, while the other is made up of rebellious civilians. Suddenly, all hell breaks loose. Both sides begin attacking each other. Chaos erupts. Jack watches as innocent bystanders in the streets scramble to safety. Realizing the danger, Jack sprints toward his apartment building. He sees police officers being ambushed and killed by the rebels. When he arrives, he finds a group of insurgents outside, executing a man in the street after discovering he is American. One of the rebels spots Jack. Without hesitation, Jack bolts, and the rebels chase after him. Thinking fast, he rushes up the emergency staircase. As soon as he reaches his floor, he warns the people inside that a group of rebels is on their way to storm the building. He tells them the place is no longer safe. Then, he takes the elevator up to his family. When he enters the apartment, he urgently tells his wife about the danger. Both of them look out the window and see rebels brutally attacking people in the streets below. At that moment, they realize that their daughter, Lucy, is missing. They find out from her younger sister that she went down to swim in the pool. So, he tells them to lock herself and the little girl inside while he goes to get Lucy, and tells the little girl to hide in the bathroom, and then rushes to block the door. Meanwhile, Jack reaches the 4th floor and quickly pulls Lucy out of the pool before anyone can harm her. But one of the rebels spots them and starts chasing them. Jack slams the door shut and runs toward the emergency exit with his daughter. He takes the emergency stairs and rushes to his apartment. At that moment, one of the rebels appears in front of him, but before he can be attacked, Hammond arrives just in time and saves him. Hammond tells Jack to take his family and get to the rooftop as quickly as possible. Jack grabs his family and heads to the roof, where they discover that other survivors are already there and have locked the rooftop door. Jack talks to one of the people on the roof, who explains that the rebels are furious with Cardiff Company and are targeting anyone associated with them. Jack and Anne explain the situation to their daughters, assuring them that help is on the way. Just then, they all hear the sound of a helicopter approaching, assuming it's coming to rescue them. They start clapping and waving for attention, but Jack spots one of the rebels inside the helicopter. He immediately warns everyone to take cover. Suddenly, the rebels start shooting randomly, hitting and killing many people. However, the helicopter gets caught in some wires and crashes onto the rooftop. In the chaos, the rooftop door is no longer secure, and the rebels break through it easily. Realizing they have no choice, Jack tells them they must jump to the neighboring building if they want to survive. Anne jumps first so she can catch the girls when Jack throws them across. The first daughter makes it to the other rooftop safely. Jack then tosses their younger daughter across, followed by Lucy. Finally, he jumps after them, reaching safety just in time before the rebels can shoot them. One of the rebels shows Jack a wanted poster with his face on it, issued by Cardiff Company. After that, the family climbs down from the rooftop and enters an office floor. Jack notices a tank rolling through the street below and tries to warn everyone inside, but it's too late. The tank opens fire, killing many people. As debris collapses around them, Jack uses a dead body to cover an opening and hide from the incoming rebels. When the rebels enter the building, they begin executing everyone they find. Jack and his family do their best to stay hidden until nightfall, waiting for the rebels to leave. Once the coast is clear, they cautiously make their way outside. Suddenly, a lone rebel appears, but Jack immediately tackles him, smashing his head and killing him. Then, Jack and Anne change into the clothes of the dead to disguise themselves as rebels. They take a motorcycle and head toward the U.S. Embassy. As they ride through the streets, they see bodies scattered everywhere. Eventually, they encounter a group of rebels blocking the road. Anne tells Jack to turn into a side street to avoid them, but he hesitates, fearing it would draw attention. Instead, he tells his family to keep their heads down and continues forward. In the middle of the crowd, Jack slows down, causing the motorcycle to tip over with his family on it. A man tries to help them, but he notices Jack's blonde hair and is momentarily shocked. However, he doesn't say anything, allowing Jack to continue as if nothing happened. A little while later, Jack finally reaches the embassy. But Anne points out that the place is surrounded by barriers and they might not be allowed inside. Jack tells his family to stay hidden while he gets closer to the embassy to assess the situation. He climbs over the barriers and reaches the building, only to hear the rebels' voices. He turns just in time to see them exiting the embassy, and they see him too. Before he can escape, they start chasing after him. At the same moment, a bomb goes off inside the embassy. In response, they rush to grab Annie and the girls and start running through the narrow streets, trying to escape from the rebels. They keep running until they reach someone's house and rush inside. An old man appears and yells at them to leave, but his heart softens when he sees the children with them. He decides to help and hides them behind the plants and statues. Suddenly, a group of protesters storms into the house, attacking the old man and demanding to know where they are hiding. Jack notices a rifle next to one of them and whispers that he'll go grab it while they are distracted. He hides behind a tree, waiting for the right moment to make his move. Meanwhile, Annie hears the sound of something breaking and assumes Jack is in trouble. She steps out of hiding, and as soon as the rebels spot her, they grab her and start beating her. This forces Jack to come out as well, but two of them seize him and start hitting him mercilessly. He is forced to watch helplessly as they beat Annie. Just then, Hammond intervenes, taking down the rebels one by one before opening fire on the rest. However, one of the men manages to escape. Knowing that more rebels could be on their way, Hammond urges everyone to leave quickly. He leads them away to a brothel, where they hide. There, a man named Mon helps them stay hidden, taking them up to the rooftop, providing them with food, and advising them that if they manage to cross the nearby lake, they will reach the Vietnam border, where they'll be safe. That night, Jack is awakened by gunfire. Hammond tells Jack and Annie to take the girls and escape through the back entrance. As they hurry down the stairs, Hammond is shot and collapses. When Jack tries to help him, Hammond insists he must go on without him. As Jack looks up, he sees a large truck heading straight toward them. He rushes back to his family and hides them before turning around, kneeling, and opening fire on the truck as it speeds toward him. The truck runs him over, killing him instantly. After Hammond's death, Jack starts to panic, realizing they are completely on their own now. Annie tries to calm him down, reminding him they have to keep moving, especially since the river isn't far away. Soon after, Jack spots a small boat and gives his shoes to the boat owner in exchange for passage. However, 3 rebels spot him and start attacking. When Lucy sees her father being beaten, she runs out of hiding to help him, but the rebels grab her and force a gun into her hands, ordering her to kill her own father. When Lucy refuses, one of the men puts a gun to her head and forces her to fire a shot into the ground. Then, he grabs her hands and points the gun at her father. At that moment, Annie sneaks up behind him and knocks him out. Jack quickly grabs the gun from his daughter's hands and shoots the other 2 rebels, killing them both. After that, the family gets on the boat and starts moving toward the border. Jack notices a group of rebels nearby, but before they can react, the Vietnamese border police spot them and turn on their searchlights, raising their weapons toward Jack and his family, ordering them to stop. Jack pleads with them not to shoot and continues moving forward. As soon as they cross into Vietnamese territory, the border police turn their weapons toward the rebels, warning them not to fire. Any attack would be seen as an act of war. After making it into Vietnam, Jack and his family are taken to a hospital, where they receive medical care. In the final scene, the family sits together, and Jack tells them the story of Lucy's birth. And that's the end of the movie. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.